Hello and welcome everybody to the Total Security Solutions live fire product demonstration today for the financial industry. My name is Paul Levine and I will be your host today. And with me today is Bob George. Bob is a senior consultant with Total Security Solutions on that. Just to go over a little bit of the agenda, the first thing that we'll do is Bob is going to talk to us about best practices for ballistic protection in the financial industry. And after Bob talks through that, then we're actually going to do our live fire part of the demonstration. So we have two panels here. On the left-hand side here, we have our LP1250 ballistic laminated polycarbonate glazing, i.e. glass, in our BL175 frame. These both products are level 3 bullet-resistant materials. On this side here, same frame, but this is our BB3 product, which is a level 3 ballistic fiberglass product. Our range master, when he comes in, will be shooting each product with 3 shots from a .44 Magnum with a 240 grain semi-wad cutter bullet. He'll be shooting it in a triangle pattern right in the center of each. What we're doing is we're approximating the UL 752 bullet resistant standards for testing product. The range master will be at 16 feet. After the product is shot, Bob and I will come back in here and then we're going to show you up close how the product performed. So we'll show you the front and then we'll take you around back as well and show you close up how the product is performed in the back. Every single test we've ever done, it's always performed like a champ, no penetration, does exactly what it's supposed to do. Once we're done with that part of the shooting demonstration, then we'll come back out front here and we're going to open it up to a question and answer session. And on your Zoom application, take a look for it right now, you'll see a button for Q&A. Go ahead and click that and go ahead and start putting in any questions that you have now. That'll help you be closer to the top of the list. We are going to do our best in our half hour today. We will be wrapping up at about 11:30 to answer every question that's submitted. If by chance we don't get to your question live on air, we will follow up with you to make sure that every question is answered. So, but again, go ahead and start submitting your questions now. That way they're ready when we get to that part of the presentation. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to the best practices for the financial industry, and I'm going to turn it over to Bob to talk about those.
Thanks, Paul.
You're welcome.
Okay, just a quick overview touching on what Paul was saying. UL 752 is the underwriter's laboratory for ballistics. There's levels 1 through 8. Level 1 is the lowest, goes all the way up. It starts at a level 1 with handguns as far as up to a level 8, which will stop high-powered rifles. For banks, most common are going to be UL levels 1 through 3. Level 1 is for small handguns, 9mm, 38s. Level 2 is a 357 Magnum, and then level 3 covers you for all handguns, but most popular is the .44 Magnum. As it relates to the glass products or glazing products that we use, for interior use, you're going to see acrylics, whether it's uncoated or coated. Those range from levels 1 through 2. Then you have your laminated polycarbonates, which also range from levels 1 through 3. Then you also have glass-clad polycarbonate materials, which can be used on interiors. As far as exterior, we also offer an insulated defender glass, which is an insulated air gap product that can be put in existing or new storefronts. Then we also have the glass-clad polycarbonate that I just referenced. Those range from levels 1 through 8. Typically, anything over a UL level 3 is going to be strictly glass, but that gives you a quick overview of all the different types of glazing.
One thing, sure. If I can. I forgot to mention that this morning we would have sent you an email that has 2 attachments with it. One is a components guide, and that gives you a lot more information on what we're speaking of. The other one is the UL 752 chart that we sent out. So definitely reference those as we're talking if you want to get into more depth there. I'll also put a plug in on our website. There's a whole lot more information that you can look at as well. So Bob, I'll let you continue with fiberglass.
Thanks, Paul. Okay, so real quick, just to go back on the glazing, just a quick overview. Acrylic is very common, levels 1 and 2 for the financial industry. If you're going to try to protect the exterior storefront, I'd recommend a UL level 1 to about a UL level 3. Like I stated on the Defender, insulated glass is a great product for exterior applications. Because of the air gap, it does not have polycarbonate in, so that's something that we recommend. Moving on to fiberglass that Paul just touched on, that is an opaque material that's used, so you can't, it's hidden typically in stud walls, millwork, countertops. It can be used in new construction where you can build it right into the walls or the millwork, or it can be retrofitted and it can be post-applied, and we can also cover it with a laminate, veneer, or even aluminum to hide the unfinished material. That ranges in all kinds of thicknesses from UL's level 1 to 3. Usually level 1's the thinnest, all the way up to level 8, which is, I believe, around almost 2 inches. From there, we'll talk about the ballistic frames. Paul touched on the level 3 frame we have here, which is our BL 1.75. We have framing systems that range from levels 1 through 8. We also have thermally improved framing systems for the exterior to go along with the insulated ballistic glass. But we also offer non-rated framing systems as well that can either be left non-rated or be packed with ballistic fiberglass to give them a sort of a rating. Moving on, doors. We have a whole host of products under our door line. We have aluminum, steel, wood, glass, and acrylic polycarbonate doors. These range from levels 1 through 8 as well. Aluminum, very common. Those range from levels 1 through 5. Steel, 1 through 8. Wood, levels 1 through 5. We have all glass doors that go levels 1 through 3. And then acrylic polycarbonate that also go levels 1 through 3. Now those doors range from maybe steel being the least expensive, go to wood, acrylic, aluminum, and then the all glass version that we offer. And those can be made a bunch of different ways as far as flush panel, half vision, view windows, narrow view windows, but there's all types of view lights that you can put in the doors depending on which product you get. Moving on as well, I should touch on as far as the financial industry, what you would see most common within a branch, whether it's a bank or a credit union, you'll see wood doors typically that are used to put right next to the teller line that can blend right in with the millwork. We can do a half vision so that the wood will match the sight line of all the millwork. You'll also see acrylic full vision doors as well next to the barrier system, which really look, as far as ornate, they're good looking doors. And then aluminum as well can be used on the interior or the exterior, depending on the application. Moving on to transaction systems and the teller lines that you'll see. Things you want to look at: how are you going to communicate? How are you going to pass items back and forth? Aesthetics, how is it going to look to your customers? So there's all types of different options, and we'll just touch on a few of them right now. But as far as natural voice transmission is very important, especially if you've never had a teller line in front of you. So there's talk-through voice ports, the little 6-inch holes with 10-inch backers, but we also have fixed window systems that are very effective as far as sound transmission, as arch window systems, very common in banks, vertical baffle systems, horizontal baffle systems. But then we also have sliding systems as well, horizontal, vertical, but as it relates to the financial industry, typically the most common systems we use are the arched and baffle window systems. Also, if you have bulk items you need to pass back and forth, or whether it's just cash, IDs, we have currency trays that can either be retrofitted into your existing counter. We have recessed, we have counter mount, or if you have something bigger, say like bulk coins that you need to pass back and forth, we have acrylic package exchangers, which are basically like 14 by 14 cubes that have interlocking doors for security. We also have through-wall drawers, whether it's an interior or exterior application. Also, like I touched on, sliding windows. If you have a really big, UPS comes in and you need to, put a big package, they also have sliding horizontal systems as well that will work.
All right. Thanks, Bob.
Thanks, Paul.
Okay, the next part is my favorite part, and that is the live fire demonstration. So our marksman is going to come into the scene here and take his position. And Bob and I are going to step off camera and put on our ear protection. So when you're ready. All right, we'll take a look and see how the product did. So, Bob, take it away.
Yep. Okay, so you can see the 3 shots on each one of the panels. We'll start with the glazing here in the LP1250 BR. That's an acrylic polycarbonate laminate, which has a UL level 3 rating. You can see the triangle pattern. Relatively, you can see where the bullet holes went in. You can see where the acrylic stopped the bullet, and the polycarbonate allowed it to expand a little bit and catch the bullet. You can see here, that's like standard testing. Held up. Here, it's relatively smooth. Fiberglass, again, this is 1/2 inch, level 3 ballistic fiberglass, 3-hole pattern, held up, no penetrations in the back, completely smooth on both of these. You can see the frame is completely intact as well. Even with this shot, which was about 1 inch away from the seam, the gasketing of the channel on the tube frame system, you can see that frame held completely intact. We'll take a look at the back as well. Start with the fiberglass. You'll see a slight bulge right here, but absolutely no penetration whatsoever. Framing system held up completely. And then you can see also here, which I think is the most interesting on the laminated polyacrylic, absolutely no penetrations, slight bulge. And you can see a little bit here how the fragments of the bullet kind of disperse throughout the hole and kind of expand. So it breaks up the bullet. There was no ricochet from the front, and there was 0 penetration from the back. And you can see the framing system is well intact. Very solid product. So held up as always. We've actually overshot these as well, just to see how they perform. And I believe we put, Paul, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think we put 11 shots into the glazing the last time, and it still held up.
Afterwards, on the left-hand side, after the 3, we put 11 more rounds in with, nothing going through. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at what questions we have. So the first question I have here, the question is, do we install or do we sell and install product into Puerto Rico?
We do. We do a lot of work in the Caribbean area. We do some work overseas, but yes, we do work. We have installed, I believe, in Antigua, Bahamas, Jamaica. I think we've gone as far as Aruba on projects. So yeah, we can furnish that whole area. There has been some restrictions with COVID, which have made it a little bit more difficult, but things are starting to open up again. So to answer your question, yes, we can come down and install in Puerto Rico.
All right. Another question here we have is, somebody says, what is the most common UL level that's used in a bank branch?
Sure. We touched on it briefly earlier. The most common level used at a bank branch, I think, ranges between a UL level 1 and 2, depending on who the customer is. Some of the big corporate banks that we work with have some specs that have been around a while, and they've kind of stuck with them. And they like to stick with UL level 2 acrylic. They usually use coated material as well, which is a little bit more expensive, but that's a spec that's been around a long time. They've kind of stuck with that. So UL level 2 is pretty common with some of the corporate banks. But as far as new banks, credit unions, I think that a UL level 1 is more than sufficient. And as far as the type of material that you would use, it would be a level 1 uncoated, which is our least expensive glazing product, but it's also the most common, and especially with banks. Acrylic holds up very well over time, doesn't discolor. It's about 1.25 inches thick. And like I said, it's the most affordable, so you see people use it quite a bit. But I'd say with most banks, credit unions, UL level 1, and then kind of like that's 1A, and then 1B would be the UL level 2 acrylic.
All right. Another question that came in here is very specific. It's about a rifle shot. And the question is, what's the lowest rating that will stop a single 5.56 round? Now, I know that's a complex question because a 5.56 is one type of round, but you can have different bullets there, whether it be just a armor piercing or steel or whatnot. But offhand,
I believe that's a UL level 5.
Yep.
That would stop that shot. Yeah, so a UL level 5 would stop an assault rifle, the one-shot test.
Yep.
And that would be a glass-clad polycarbonate. Again, touching on it earlier, you can get ULs level 1 through 8 with most of the glass-clad polycarbonate products. However, with the plastics, so say acrylic, polycarbonates, and then the laminated polyacrylics, those are going to range from levels 1 through 3. Once you get over UL level 3, now you're in the high-powered range. Levels 4 through 8 are going to be all glass-clad polycarbonates, except the one exception is UL level 6, which is a 5-shot test from a 9mm, which is basically like an Uzi. But most of the products over level 3 are going to always be glass. You don't typically see an acrylic or a polycarbonate except for level 6.
All right. Another question that came in here is, do we collaborate with architects during the design process?
Absolutely. That's key too, and I would recommend that for any architect or end user who is looking to incorporate ballistic products into their new project coming up. But yes, we work with architects a lot. We welcome it. We thrive on that. We'd love to get them in early so that we can see exactly what their needs are, what they're trying to accomplish. We understand that there are security needs. That's the simple part of it, but it's about function and making sure that it works for what they're doing so they can conduct their business. So we'll work with them on the design phase. We work doing drawings, whatever we need to do up front to make sure that what they're looking to accomplish is created. They understand what they're getting, because not everybody understands what these look like. And I would recommend too, depending on what type of project it is, whether it's an interior or exterior, that we really walk through and see really what the security, we discuss what the security risk may be and what products and levels are best suited to make sure that their people and their customers are protected 100%.
All right. So related to that is, we talked obviously about architects and engineers. What about if person is a bank security director? Are they able to call and talk to somebody at Total Security Solutions and get advice on ballistic protection, just kind of like consulting?
Absolutely. Yeah, again, we'd welcome that, and we'd be more than happy to set up a meeting, whether it's a conference call or actually come in person to really understand what your needs are. But yeah, we welcome dealing with the end user, facility managers, bank security, construction divisions. There's so many different levels to any type of corporation, whether it's public or private too, that we want to get in there and do whatever we can up front to help educate them, understand what they need, and then be able to give them the products they're going to, suited best for their upcoming project. Okay.
Also related to that then, what's the smallest size project that you'll do, and how large of a project will you do?
We'll basically do anything. I mean, we don't really focus on residential as much, but there are products that can be suited for your home.
Yeah, I think the question you're asking is about in bank branches or credit
within
unions.
Banks. We'll do it as small as supplying you with a tray or a package exchanger, whatever, if you have an existing system and you need it modified, we've done that before. We can come in and do a complete retrofit and either take out what's existing. We can help modify the millwork as well. We do have millwork capabilities so that we can modify the millwork to accept new elevations, whether you want to add an ADA system, a window in with all your stand-up stations. Basically, it can go as small as a currency tray for a couple $100 and as large as a full teller line system with exterior storefront. So they're really, the range is pretty wide, but we welcome anything we can get out of it.
Okay. Another question, again related to that, is how long does my branch need to be a construction zone?
Well, that's a good question. So most of our work that we do, unless it's new construction, which would happen during the day, we know that we can't disrupt your business. Obviously, people need to make money, and they can't shut down in one day of not being not operating. There's a lot of income to be lost. So we do a lot of our work at night. We try to do it over the weekends, possibly when you're closed, but we like to work on off hours. Majority of these projects, though, we can work with you scheduling what's best for you. A lot of times maybe a branch might shut down from a Friday through Monday, and that will come in on a more sizable project, and we can take care of everything and work with your trades over that period of time. But we try to coordinate with, if it's direct with the end user or if there's a general contractor involved, we'll try to coordinate schedules that all the subs are in there at the same time so that it's not disrupting your business for more than a couple days. And like I said, we try to do most of the work after hours, whether it's during the week or on the weekend. We try to work around your business.
So another question here is, do you offer monolithic, non-laminated, polycarbonate sheet products?
We do. We do have a 1/2-inch polycarbonate that we offer, and a few others in the range. Most of it is laminated for the higher forced entry rating, but we do have a 1/2-inch monolithic, and we can get some other products as well. Those aren't bullet resistant though, which is kind of like our core focus.
The monolithic.
Yeah, the monolithic products. Now you have acrylics that are monolithic, level 1 and level 2, but the polycarbonates typically that we offer are laminated, and those start as thin as 3/4 of an inch. However, for security products, which is the UL 972 rating, which we do some of that work, we do offer up a 1/2-inch monolithic material.
Okay. So with the laminated polycarbonate, the reason for doing the laminated cap sheets and the acrylic core is?
Well, there are a couple different products out there. There's the one Paul just referenced with the acrylic core, which is about, I believe, an inch thick with 8-inch polycarbonate cap sheets on both ends. And then there's also an all laminated poly, which has about, I think, 4 layers of poly in there. So the difference between the two, and the one that we tend to focus on, is the acrylic poly, because and that's what we shot here. This is the LP 1250BR. It's 1.25 inches thick that I just referenced. But what happens if you put this up against the laminated all poly, you're gonna see a big difference in the clarity. The acrylic helps, it's crystal clear. And if you held up the polycarbonate, the layered one, to this, you'd see like a purplish, grayish hue to the material, which distorts the clarity a little bit, where the acrylic and poly has much higher because there's not as much polycarbonate. The great thing about it though, it's the same ballistic rating, nothing changes there, it's the same thickness. This is more clear, and typically, give or take, it's about $10 a square foot less as far as glazing product than the all laminated poly. So this is what we would emphasize using on any type of interior barrier system that they're looking for a UL level 3 rating.
All right. Extra part of that question was, what test does it pass? The LP 1250, just as you see here, is level 3, so it'll pass the UL level 3 test. How about the all laminated poly?
Same thing.
Same
Yep,
thing.
same testing.
Level
UL
3.
level 3, 3-shot test.
Okay. And next up is going to be, do any of your exterior window assemblies have Florida product approval? It's a very specific question, so I'm not sure
Yeah,
you
like
have
those
that
Dade
offhand.
County or the hurricane ratings, the wind debris, they do not.
Okay.
No.
All right.
We focus on stopping bullets at this time.
So next question here, test results for both spalled and no spalled glazing products. What do banks buy? So I think they're asking really about spall or no spall. And if you want to touch on what does no spall actually mean?
Yeah. Okay, so that kind of relates to the glass products. Most of the acrylics and polycarbonates, whether it's laminated or monolithic, typically are all considered no spall because the plastics in the back, like we showed you here, do not penetrate. There's no material coming off the back end. Glass-clad polycarbonate products are either tested with a no spall or a low spall. And no spall again means that there's no fragments or any type of material coming off the back end.
No projectiles.
No projectiles off the back end, whether it's the glass or a bullet, but mostly the glass. Low spall now is, so say you're taking a level 3 product, which is a little bit different than this. It's a couple layers of glass, then polycarbonate, and it's layered. So the no spall one would have glass on the exterior, the threat side, with polycarbonate on the interior. That prevents any type of projectiles coming back because the poly catches it. If somebody wants a low spall material, which is like a modified test in our industry, it will still pass the test and there's no bullets that go through, but basically you add a thinner layer of glass in the back, whether it's an 1/8 or a 1/4 inch, add it to the back end of this, and then there's a low spall test where they have a witness plate so many feet back, which is like cardboard.
Yep.
And if there's any fragments penetrate that cardboard or the witness plate, then the test doesn't pass. So low spall basically means the bullet won't come through, but there's gonna be some fragments or glass coming off, which is deemed acceptable in our industry because there isn't any bullet penetrations coming through. It's personal preference as far as what a customer is looking for. A lot of times people want glass and glass. Personally, if you're going to deal with a glass product, I believe you should be working on the exterior. If you're on the interior, I would recommend the acrylics on their own or the laminated polyacrylic that we shot here for a tailor line.
All right. I can handle this question. The question is, do you have webinars or courses for architects that have AIA CEU credits? Yes, we do. On our website, if you go to the Resources and Architects resource section, you'll see on the right-hand side a little ad for our CEU course. It is hosted through AEC Daily, so conversely, you can go to aecdaily.com and just search for Total Security Solutions, go to our profile page, and you'll see our ballistics course listed right there. All right. Next question is, what are the installed price ranges of your different product levels? Now, obviously, that's a massive question with a lot.
Yeah.
So just, are there some ballparks or general rule of thumb for banks and credit unions?
Well, it's project specific, obviously, like Paul said. Excuse me. So with us, we're out of Michigan. However, we have satellite offices all around the country. We have an office in California, Texas, New Jersey, all around, and then also with salespeople and installers all around the country. So it really depends on where it's located, the size of the project, the extent of the work that's going to take place. It's hard to give dollar amounts unless I'm looking at something specifically. I don't know if you're looking for ranges or,
That's where we'd be happy to talk to you in person about your specific situation on that. Okay, this one, here's a softball question for you. How many years have you been in business?
Well, TSS has formally been in business since 2004. So what's that, 17 years going on 18? But the owners of the company have been within the industry for well over 40 years, basically pioneers in the bullet resistant industry way back in the 70s. So it's a family business. It's been around a while, and yeah, I'd say 04 was when we started Total Security Solutions, but a lot of the people within the company, it's a mix, and people have a lot of experience within the industry over the years, and the owners, like I said, have many, many years of experience within the
Virtually were there as the industry started.
Absolutely.
Not calling them old. All right, next question is, do you offer on-site assessments and consulting?
We do. We can do a lot of it over the phone, and we're more than happy to. And if it's the right situation, we'd be more than happy to come out and do an on-site survey and discuss all the different options and what you're looking to accomplish. But yeah, we travel all around the country, and we try to get to anything. We have multiple people working around the country too, so sometimes it might work out that we're in an area where one of us can come out when we're at another project and meet with you. We'd be more than happy to come out and assess your project and your needs.
All right. Simple question, do we do installations?
We do. We do installations, whether it's down the street here in Michigan, California, Texas. We discussed it earlier. We do a little bit in the Caribbean. But yeah, we do installs all around the U.S. and just depends on the type of project and who's looking for it.
All right. Another question is, what type of system warranties do we offer for our glazing and framing products?
Well, TSS gives a 1-year warranty on all the products from the date of installation. And from there, we do 1 year. All glazing typically, other than acrylic, has a 5-year warranty on it. Yep. But we can work with people as well on maybe longer warranties if it's necessary.
Yep. All right. We're coming up to the end of our time here, so we are going to start wrapping it up. Again, if we did not get to your question, we will follow up with you after the webinar on that. So, Bob, I want to say thank you very much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thanks, Paul.
Answering questions. And of course, thank you very much for joining us. There will be more webinars coming up, so we'll put that word out and let you know when those are scheduled and that you can attend. And again, this webinar, we will have this recorded and onto our website typically within about a week. And again, the part with the remote camera around the back was having some transmission difficulties, but when we post the recorded video, that will have the actual recorded footage from the camera itself, so to be crystal clear on that. So thank you very much. We appreciate you taking the time to join us, and hope you have a great day.
Thank you.